Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, as you can see, we're going to be making this beautiful stylish pencil skirt, which is very beginner friendly. So if you're interested in this, make sure to watch until the end. Alright, let's get right into the video. So for starters, we're going to put the fabric on fold, and to get how much you want to put on fold, just get your hips measurements, divide by 4 plus 1 inch. And then next is we're going to draw a starting line at the top. You can leave 1 inch or 0.5 inches at the top there. And then our waistband is going to be 1.5 inches. And so we shall start all our vertical measurements from 1.5. So we shall get our waist to hip, and mine is 10.5, which I'll just go ahead and mark there. And then we shall get our full length, which is 21.5 inches. And so if you're not adding any piece to your fabric, you can just mark your full length just like you see me do. But of course, as you know, we're going to be adding that black design at the bottom, so I'll be subtracting that piece from the fabric later on. But for now, I'll just go ahead and draw those lines as you can see me do in the video. So like I said, from our full length line, we're going to go up by 2 inches because the piece of fabric I'm adding there at the bottom is going to be 2 inches wide. So we shall go up by 2 inches from that full length line, and then we shall draw a new full length line. And so moving forward, we're just going to ignore that line below. Then of course, we're going to add 0.5 inches for the sewing allowance to join to that black fabric. So moving on to the waist, we're going to get our waist circumference divided by 4, which is going to be 7.3 inches, which I'm going to just mark. And then we shall add 1 inch for the dart, and then you can add 1 inch of sewing allowance, but I'm going to be using 0.5 inches of sewing allowance. And then for the hips, we're going to get the hip circumference divided by 4, and then we shall be adding 1 inch of sewing allowance or 0.5 inches of sewing allowance. In my case, I'm using 0.5 inches of sewing allowance. Moving on to the full length, you're going to use whatever you have on that hip line minus 1 inch, or you can use minus 1.5 inches or minus 2 inches depending on how tight you want it to be. In my case, I was using the hips minus 1 inch. So I'll just go ahead and join the points. So at the top there, we're going to add 0.5 inches of sewing allowance that we shall be using to join to the waistband. Then I'll also be marking the position of my dart, which is going to be a half of my nipple to nipple measurements, which is going to be 4 inches. So we shall just go ahead and draw that line. And then the length of my dart is going to be 4 inches as well. The dart width is going to be 0.5 inches on both sides, which is 1 inch in total. So we shall just mark that and then draw the lines. After we're done with that, we shall also mark our sewing allowance of 0.5 inches at the top. And then we shall extend those lines up to the top. Also, we shall extend the dart lines, just like you see me doing the video. So this next part is optional, but to give the waist some shape, we can go down by 1 inch or 0.5 inches and then just mark it there. And then we shall connect it to that point. But make sure to use a slight curve when you're reaching the center so that you don't have a sharp V when you open up the pieces. So for now, we're not going to cut out this line. We're first going to use this piece to cut out the back, and then we shall be cutting out the line later. So yes, we're just going to cut out the front like you see me do in the video. And then we shall get a second fabric and put it on fold, and then we shall mark out 1.5 inches of zipper allowance and draw a line. And then we shall put the front piece just along that line. And then after we're done, we're just going to trace out the front piece, just like you see in the video. So after we're done tracing it out, that's what it's going to look like. That will be the back and the front. And so at this point is when we can cut out that part of the front. But like I told you, just make sure to carve out that area so that it's not a sharp V when you open it up. It should just have a slight curve when you open it up like that. As you can see, I already transferred my dart, so I'm just going to put the front piece aside and then we shall work on the back. At the top, we shall go in by 0.5 inches, and then also at the bottom, we shall go in by 0.5. If you want it very fitted at the bottom, you can go in by 1 inch. So I'm going to first go and mark my hip line. So yes, at the hip line, this part is going to remain as 1.5 inches. And now we're going to join our points. Like you can see, I'm using a hip curve ruler. So after we're done with this part, we're going to move on to marking our dart position, and we're going to start from that line, just like it is for the front. And at that point, it's 4 inches from that line. Then we shall draw the line there, just like you see in the video. In this case, the dart length is 4.5 inches because we're adding the 0.5 inches that we added at the top for the sewing allowance. And then the dart width is 1 inch, which is 0.5 inches on both sides. So we're done with that. We're just going to cut out the piece just like you see. And now we're going to extend our zipper allowance, which was 1.5. So we shall just mark the new zipper allowance at those points. And after we're done, we shall just go ahead and mark it just like you see me doing the video. So yes, as you can see, it has to be the same all throughout. I also went ahead and transferred all the markings on the other side, just like you can see in the video. So that's basically it for the front and the back. Moving on, we're going to get those extra pieces at the bottom. As you can see, for the back part, we have 2 of the back pieces, and so we're going to have 2 of those black pieces, just like you can see in the video. So the pieces are going to be 5 inches wide, and then on fold it will be 2.5 inches, and we shall be joining them by 0.5 inches of sewing allowance. Also for the front, we cut out 1 piece that's similar. Next is I cut out the waistband, which is going to be 2 inches on fold, as you can see, and then when it's open it's going to be 4 inches wide. And I cut 1 long piece that's going to be enough for all these 3 pieces. But I'm going to be connecting them separately, so I'll just cut out different pieces, just like you're going to see in this next clip. As you can see, I've cut out the different pieces that I'll be using to join. I also cut out soft interfacing that I'll be ironing onto the waistband. So now we're going to join the black pieces to the bottom of each of those pieces, and so we shall be putting it right sides facing each other and just stitching it like that. Or you can use the binding method if you don't want your raw edges to be seen. So as you can see, I'm already done doing that. I'm just going to cut out those extra pieces. As you can see, I'm just lining them up together, and then I'm just going to chop them up just like that. And then I'll do the same for the front. I'll just put it on fold, and then I'll cut off the extra parts that need to be cut off. So as you can see, I'm already done with that. I also went ahead to sew in the darts. As you can see in the video, I've already sewed the darts in for both the back and the front pieces. So the next thing is we're going to be attaching the waistbands to each of the pieces, just like you see in the video. And as you can see, I already ironed the stiff interfacing onto the waistband pieces. So yes, we shall be attaching these to the top, and then we shall be cutting out that extra. I'll just be placing the 2 pieces right sides facing each other, and then I'll stitch it, and then that will be it. You can also use the binding method in case you want all your raw edges to be hidden. So as you can see, I've already attached the waistband, and I've also overlocked the raw edges. So I'm just going to cut off this extra piece, and then I'll put the second piece on top of it to make sure that they're both equal, and then I'll cut off the other piece using that first piece. And I'll also do the same thing for the front piece. I'll put it on fold and then cut it out just like you can see me doing the video. So at this point, I've already finished ironing the pieces and overlocking all the raw edges. As you can see, that's overlocked, and also at the bottom, that part is overlocked. So I'll put the back pieces right sides facing each other, just like you can see in the video. Then I'll get my zipper and place it in that position, and at this point, I'm getting the position of the zipper opening. Make sure the zipper opening is low enough to allow your hips to pass through when you're putting on the skirt. You can also use a longer zip if you have to. So exactly at that point of the zipper opening, I'm going to be stitching it all the way down. And then from the point of the zipper opening up to the upper part of the waist, I'm going to stitch it with temporary stitches or loose stitches. So as you can see, I'm already done. From the waist up to that zip opening, I used loose stitches, which I'll be taking out later. For the bottom part, I used permanent stitches. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up these pieces like this, and then we're going to go and press it using a flat iron. So at this point, I've already finished with that. And so we're going to be taking out those temporary stitches up to that point, exactly where the opening of the zipper is going to be. So as you can see, that's where the zipper position is going to be. But first we're going to get that front piece and place it like that, and then right sides facing each other, we shall place the back piece on top of the front piece, just like you can see in the video. And then we're going to be sewing the sides by 0.5 inches of sewing allowance. At this point, as you can see, I'm already done with that. And now next is we're going to be attaching the zipper. So we shall face that right side of the zipper onto the fabric, and then the right side of the zipper will go onto the right side of the zipper allowance, and the left side of the zipper will go on the left side of the zipper allowance. I really hope that makes sense. I already have a video up for the blind zipper, so you can check it out on my page. So yes, at this point I'm already done attaching the zipper and also overlocking all the raw edges. And so that's basically it for the skirt. Alright guys, if the video was helpful, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel in case you're interested in such content. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.